right, welcome my friends to episode 685 of Extreme Health Radio. Thank you guys so much for being here. We've got a great show for you today. Dr. Gilbert Renaud is going to be on the show, and we're going to talk about recall healing and how our spiritual and emotional traumas play a role in our health. And not just a role, but perhaps a really, really big role. And perhaps the reason why we experience sickness and disease is caused by spiritual and emotional traumas that we haven't dealt with. So we're going to get into all of that with Dr. Renaud. This is going to be a fun show. So like I said before, this is episode 685. Excuse me. And if you want to grab the show notes for today's show, everything will be available. His website, any of the sponsors we talk about, and all that good stuff at extremehealthradio.com/685. So I'll mention that again because I know a lot of people listen to the show while they're driving or with their kids around or something like that, and they can't take notes. So we'll make everything available so you can easily go grab links to anything we talk about in today's show. Okay, so for those of you that don't or I guess new to the show, we do shows every week on Friday morning at 10:45 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook and YouTube. And if you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, any of those platforms, we do our best of episodes 6 days a week. And then the new episodes come out every Sunday night. So subscribe to our show so you don't miss any of our shows. And like I said before, we've done 684 other episodes with amazing people that we kind of recycle 6 days a week. And then the new shows come out Sunday night. So make sure to subscribe, leave a review if you would. I would appreciate that. So a couple things coming up. Let's see, what do we have here? We have next Friday, we got Jason Prawl on. That's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk about ancient methods of healing. He's the guy behind the Human Longevity Project, and he's been on the show before as a local guy, and I really like his work. So he's going to be on the show talking about longevity and ancient methods of healing, mind, body, and soul next Friday. Then we're going to have PJ Harlow on the show talking about mold toxicity and our home, and how mold plays a role in our health and what we can do to mitigate those things. I first heard about her through my friend Matt Blackburn's podcast, Mito Life Radio, which I suggest you take a listen to. It's a great, great show. And then we got Jason Christoff. We're going to talk with him about self-sabotage, why do we do it, and how to stop it. He's great. I love Jason. He's really a cool guy. So that's going to be a fun show. And then the following Friday, Dr. Seth Gerlach will be talking about vaccines and health freedom. Maybe we need to come up with a code name for vaccines so we don't get deplatformed by the powers that be or that think they are. So we'll talk with him. That's going to be a great show. And yeah, so that's about it. So let me just introduce you guys to Dr. Gilbert Renaud from recallhealing.com is his website, and he's a PhD, has been working as a consultant in recall healing and total biology and biological deprogramming in Vancouver for more than 11 years. He's been at this for 30 years, helping people in this field of holistic health, and he meets with people all around the world. And what's cool is that we had him on July 24th, 2013. It's been 8 years since Dr. Renaud has been on the show. So let me bring him in. And Doc, like I was saying before, great to have you back on, my friend.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, Justin, and I say hello to all your audience.
Yeah, it's been, 8 years since you've been on, but so
amazing, huh?
I know, it goes so fast, doesn't it?
It's still like yesterday.
What's interesting is, like I was telling you before the show, we have a lot of new listeners to the show all the time, and I'm sure you're helping people that have never even heard of recall healing, right?
Yeah. Yes. I understand.
So whereabouts are you? Are you in Europe right now, or are you in?
No, I'm in Vancouver. I'm off Vancouver, on the west coast, like you, just at the north. I'm 100 feet from the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
And it's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. That's awesome because
just colder than you.
Yeah. I notice you do travel to Europe, right? Sometimes.
Yes. All my business is in Europe or online with Europe. I've been extremely busy over the last years. I travel a lot. But now, because of COVID situation, I do all my workshop online this year.
Okay.
And I've been more busy than ever.
Have you really?
Oh, amazing. So
Wow.
because when you give workshop, people need to rent a room, you need to rent a space, you have the food, and people don't have all the money to come to afford that. So when you're just online, people are in their home and they just have to pay the cost of the workshop.
Uh-huh.
So it's much easier. So we have, let's say, 85% more people than before.
Wow, that's incredible. And what's cool about that for you is that there's no plane rides, no traveling or anything like that, right?
Yes, it is for me it's interesting in one way, but it's hard on the other way because I work with the human beings. I observe their eyes, their breathing, their body reaction. It's human
Mm-hmm.
stuff, huh? So I miss that. But
Yeah.
sometimes on Zoom you can observe certain reaction, but when you have 300 students, you cannot see
Yeah.
all that on Zoom.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird this digital age we're moving into, and you
Yeah,
miss that connection, giving somebody a hug or just helping someone
yeah.
in that way, right?
Yes, and I suffer not to be at the contact with the person, but the
Hmm.
feedback I had from my student, they say, "Oh no, I feel you talk to me."
Oh, that's so
Okay,
cool.
so now when I talk, I look directly at the camera, my
Uh-huh.
camera, so to make sure that the person has a feeling to be looked at.
Mm,
And
mm.
in therapy, one of the best way you can do is to pay attention to someone. And it's sometimes it's just that is 50% of the healing
Mm.
because we feel valued, we feel seen, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's important in healing.
Yeah, it's interesting too, right? Because not a lot of people, I feel like these days people don't feel heard, right? I feel like there's a lot
Yes,
of that.
yes. It's the beginning of many other problems. When you don't feel heard, when you don't feel seen, you don't feel valued. And the beginning of many diseases is feeling devalued, feeling no self-esteem. And it's more what we think about oneself more than what people think of us.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Uh,
so regardless of whether or not someone's devaluing you, if you feel that way, that's
yes.
the issue then.
Yes, if you don't feel like this, you don't give a damn about what the person tells you, because
Yeah.
you have the self-esteem inside. But
Yeah.
most people who are sick, they've been triggered in their weak point at a moment. Okay, so and
Yeah.
it's what we need to become aware of.
Uh-huh. That's so
Um,
interesting. So for those that maybe this is the first time hearing you on our show, even though
yeah,
you were on in 2013, let's kind of go back a little bit and build a little foundation for people and just
yes,
explain starting out what recall healing really is and how it works.
yes. So to make the clear description, we say in order to heal, we need to become aware of the emotional trauma behind condition and behavior, and to resolve this trauma. Most of the diseases today are caused by a trauma that is in the past and that is already finished. But it's like the consciousness didn't get it.
Uh-huh.
And then when you talk about what happened a long time ago with the situation right now, it's like you can match the past with the present and you realize the situation is finished. And sometime in the past, I didn't say what I had to say. I swallowed my words. When you do acupuncture, you, when you're very angry, pissed off, or hurt,
Mm-hmm.
underneath there's a lot of anger and grudge. And if I swallow that, it's like the wind. It's like a tornado inside of my body. And
Okay.
my brain needs to store that somewhere. And that's the beginning of many diseases. So this is why one of the motto is give an issue, otherwise it goes into the tissue.
Okay.
So the drama happened in the past. So when today we talk about that, I make the clients talk to give the issue that he did not give at the time. And this is why sometimes a simple good talk about the right thing releases that memory that still work against me inside myself. Right?
Okay, so let me see if I understand this kind of correctly.
Yes.
So let's kind of give it a little example. Let's say a child, 5 years old, was
Yes.
maybe mistreated by their parents in some way, some
Yes.
capacity,
Yes.
and there's some trauma that happens.
Yes.
And obviously, a 5 year old's not going to be able to really process that. So, how is that trauma then sort of extrapolated out into their physical life and their healing and things?
But the first thing we need to feel from our parents is unconditional love. So if I am loved, I have value. And if I have value, I feel protected. So that means if I'm mistreated by my parents, generally the mother provides the safety in the house and the father outside of the house. If I'm mistreated by both of them, that means all my life, wherever I go, I'm never protected. Everything happened to me. I'm raped, I'm abused, I'm molested, everything happened to me. But when you're loved unconditionally by both, you can be a man, you can be a woman, you can go everywhere and nothing touches you because you're like a totem. You're like someone bigger than yourself because you have the love of your parents. And at a biological level, your parents are a little bit like God symbolically. More you have the love and self-esteem, nothing touches you in your life. Okay? So that means the sense of feeling devalued is not banal. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so when something happens to us at that age, our nervous system downloads that into our body, and like you said, it's like a tornado, kind of?
Yes, yes. And it works. Later in life, I made some events that act like a trigger that awake the memories of the past. And I have a boomerang effect of what I didn't pay attention as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult.
Okay.
You have some people, they are sick just in their 50s, but it's linked to all these memories.
Okay, so let me see if we can kind of like put an age on it that's kind of like easy, you know. So let's say 10 years old. So this happens at 10 years old. So let's say at 20 years old.
Yes.
So you're saying you would create a situation in order to go so you can go back and heal that?
Yep.
Is that correct?
Can we change something right now? I'd just like to explain something more important than anything. Is our brain is a device to keep us alive from moment to moment. Okay? And when I fail to find a solution to resolve a problem, my brain has just the body that it controls to find a solution. That means everything that I go through, if I don't give an issue, if I don't talk about it, if I don't resolve it, if it becomes an upset, my brain will find a solution within the body that it controls under the form of emotions, feelings, but deeper, it will touch the cellular memory of different organs according to the conflict I am going through. And the problem, Justin, is my brain will find solution within the body as I am a child. But many times we are not sick following that. It's just it becomes a retarding bombs. And later in life, I am triggered by cycles, by same events, because the brain likes to repeat what it has recorded from the past. It's a repeating machine. So every drama that I live today awakes the previous drama that I did not resolve. And this is why we say it's always the same old. If you don't resolve it, if you don't clear it, you repeat it.
That is so interesting. Okay, so so you would purposefully create a situation at 20 years old in order for yourself to heal that initial trauma.
And it's worse than that. It's your brain that repeats that. It's not the consciousness. It's the subconsciousness. And who runs the show? The subconsciousness.
Wow, that's so interesting. So your body really does want to heal these traumas, right?
Yes, but so we always start from here and now. Let's say I work with medical doctor, with healthcare professionals. They take care of the body, and me, I take care of the emotional trauma. Okay. So when someone comes, for example, at 50 years old with a cancer, I said, okay, when did it start? Let's say he told me last year at 49. He was diagnosed at 49.
Okay.
I divided by 2. Okay. First, you look what happened around 49 as a trigger of his cancer. Normally, it's a big drama. And then you divide 49 by 2, and you find at 24 and a half, a drama, same kind of drama that happened, that has created this cancer around 49. And you go back like this by cycles, and you teach the client that he's sick today for something that he didn't resolve a year ago, and then, for example, 24 years ago, and then furthermore. And then today you look at the past and you realize that this is finished. You don't live with your parents anymore, or you've not been cheated by your first wife anymore, or by your first husband. It's finished, but you never take the time to process it. Okay? And when today, with the consciousness of today, when you realize that it's finished, this is 60% of the healing. So if at the same time you have a good therapy, good support, it's a nice combination. Right?
It's interesting. So what happens if somebody goes back, let's say it's 50 to keep it kind of easy, and someone goes back to 25 and they don't find anything? Does that happen?
Okay. Yeah, it happens. So 25, you divide that by 2 again, and 12 and a half. Okay. And sometimes you find that in the prior cycle. Why people don't find at 25 in that example, sometimes it's because the drama was so important that it's still deep in the subconsciousness. And what you're not aware of controls you. Understand?
Ooh,
so
that's a big one.
Yeah, if I'm sick right now, I have a good therapist, I do everything, but it doesn't work. What is missing? Maybe that's the reason why my brain downloaded that disease in order to help me to survive the drama of the past. I need to become aware of that. And yes?
No, that's really fascinating what you just said. So because the brain needs to download that into the body, right? Because if it's a trauma that happened, it's so impactful and so large, you literally can't go on, right? Your brain has to download it, and it's sort of like when you get too many items in your house and you put stuff in the closet so your house looks clean, right? But it's not. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
But I'm sure I give you the best example. Imagine that you have Justin, on Health Radio, you talk to many people. And then imagine you have someone who calls you and you know many things. And this person asks you for help. And you use everything you know to help that person. Let's imagine that for 2 weeks, that person calls you 10 times. And then you worry for that person. But after these 10 times, he doesn't call you. And 6 months later, you say, what happened to him? And then you meet with him. Hi, how are you? How did it go? He says, what do you talk about? But how did it go 6 months ago when you called me 10 times? Did I call you 10? Okay. And then you learn 1 month later that he has a cancer. What happened? He has totally forgotten about that 6 months ago. He was completely rock and roll and crazy. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. And it's why it's like this? Because the drama was unbearable. So the brain downloaded that into the subconscious. So now the job of the therapist in recall healing, and we are Sherlock Holmes, your job is to identify that trauma behind that condition or behavior.
That's so interesting. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense, because if the brain didn't do that, the traumas would be so great, we literally just couldn't exist, right? It would be too much.
Exact. So now imagine you talk about a child. Okay, let's say a 7-year-old child has leukemia. Okay.
Okay.
You didn't have any leukemia before 7. Why at 7? And we know in biology. Okay, I don't ask people to believe everything. You don't need to believe it. Okay, but leukemia is a repair phase of a conflict of feeling totally devalued within my family clan. I explain. For example, if that child has leukemia at 7 years old, you look at what happened at 7 months of pregnancy.
Okay.
Or half of the cycle. 3.5 years old or 3.5 months of pregnancy. And what we found I had some case like that in Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, the child is diagnosed with leukemia, 7 years old, and what we found is the mother was upset to be pregnant, and she cried. And then when her husband came from home and she told him she's pregnant, he started to cry too. And for 7 months, they couldn't accept to have a baby because they were not ready for that.
Okay.
But during the pregnancy, the psychological, emotional conflicts of the parents go in the baby's brain under the form of a memory.
Okay.
So now, after 7 months of pregnancy, both parents say, oh, let's have the baby. Yay! Yes, but you know what? You have 7 months of hard stuff recorded in the subconscious of the baby. Because during the pregnancy, baby records the overwhelming conflict of the parents. So now the baby is born, beautiful, welcome, but people have forgotten that you have 7 months of bullshit recorded in the subconscious. Mm-hmm. So now when he's 7 years old, 7 months, 7 years old, bang, leukemia, everybody worry, oh, we love our kid. Yeah, but the first thing to become aware of is what happened during the pregnancy. Did you really welcome? Were you proud of yourself to be pregnant? Oh, were you a proud father? Mm-hmm. All that counts. Okay, 2 parents, 4 grandparents. We add that to the whole concept of study the disease behind someone. We study the whole pregnancy time as well.
That's so interesting. So what kind of results? So in this case, with the 7-year-old, do you work with them or the parents?
Yes. I never work with the child. I work with the parents. And the best therapist in the world is the mother. Why? Because mother remembers each step of the child's life, normally. Mm-hmm. She remembers what happened during the pregnancy. She remembered the conception. She even remembered the date of birth of her child, which many fathers don't remember. Okay? It's interesting. And ask a man, what is the weight of your second child at birth?
Yeah.
Okay? Ask a mother. She knows to the ounce close. She knows everything. So what heals is conscious awareness. So you ask people who know, and mother knows.
Yeah, they always know, don't they?
Yeah, and what is fun is when the mother remembers what happened, how much she was overwhelmed, whatever. Okay, we don't judge because shit happens to anybody. It's dramatic. But today, the mother goes to the bedroom of the child during the night and she tells the child everything that she went through during the pregnancy. So the brain of the child says, oh, it didn't happen to me. It happened to my mother. Okay? Right away, the brain can let go. And it's the same thing. I had a student who, his wife was pregnant at the 4th month. Okay? And he cheated on his wife at the 4th month. Okay? And we know in biology that the cheating of the father during the pregnancy can produce asthma in the child. You have other reason, okay? But I give you that as an example. It's a real example, okay? So now I meet this man 6 years later when his child is 6 years old. How are you? And he has a beautiful daughter. He loves her, but she has asthma since she's 4 years old. I said, John, do you remember what you told me when your wife was 4 months pregnant? What do you think? What? And he didn't remember. Of course, men don't remember. They cheated during the pregnancy.
Right.
So what he did that night, he told his wife, I will put our daughter to bed, darling. He told her story. She fell asleep in his arm, and he told her that he cheated on mama at the 4th month. You know, the principle of asthma, you cannot breathe here. Why? Because you want to breathe somewhere else with another woman or with another man, okay, whatever, okay. So, and when you're with your mistress or with your lover, you know you have to come back. So you have a conflict of I have to be somewhere else all the time, and this is the physiological pattern of asthma.
Interesting.
It's one of the reasons, okay, the cheating. So now, when he told his daughter that he did the cheating, okay, he explained he wanted to be at two places at the same time.
Uh-huh.
The day after, the girl never had asthma, never used her pump. Okay?
Really?
And this man is a medical doctor. And he said, at first, I was too in my medical understanding
Of
to
course.
try that. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
But okay, so I don't say asthma is always caused by cheating. Okay, but
Right.
it is for me 50% of the reasons.
Wow. So it's interesting.
Regarding my
So,
experience.
so why do you think? I mean, this may get into too complex of a question, but why do we store these traumas from our parents? Is it our way of honoring them? Do you think?
At the biological level, yes.
Okay.
Okay, it's like if think about that. We say we have a family tree. Okay, in this world we consider the three previous generations, and we are the solution with our disease to the problem that our ancestors did not resolve. For
Interesting.
example, a woman has a thyroid, a big thyroid tumor. Okay,
Hmm.
yes, but her uncle, he committed suicide by hanging himself. So what would we have needed at that moment? Something to protect the throat. Okay,
Hmm.
okay, that's interesting. Okay, so I had, you have other reason. Thyroid manage time. Okay,
Hmm.
and it's interesting because one day I had a client, a medical doctor at UCLA.
Oh wow.
She has a thyroid tumor, and she's going to thyroid removal in 10 days from now.
Okay.
And what I explore with her is thyroid manages the time. You know, when you need to accelerate time, you
Hmm.
go into hyperthyroid.
Hmm.
If you're going to die because everything is going too quick, your brain produces a slow thyroid, like hypothyroid.
Okay.
And then one of the conflict of the thyroid is injustice. So look, compare men and women in the world. Look at the schedule of a boy and a girl since they're children. And
Hmm.
look in 24 hours, who has the most intensive task? When you get married, when you have to wash, when you have to take care of the kids, to raise the kids, who has to work more?
Hmm.
Normally, women, okay,
Hmm.
in their schedule, okay. So now, what hurts many women be acknowledged by their partner. Many women can do everything, giving everything, but when they are criticized by their partner, this touches their thyroid. So that medical doctor had an issue with time, and also she had a big issue with her partner that took advantage of her. And I
Oh.
just made her verbalize. At that time, she was my first client with the thyroid tumor, so I didn't know if it would work because I
Uh-huh.
studied this work from my mentors, Dr. Saba and Dr. Hammer.
Uh-huh.
And then when I found the stress she has with her partner and the schedule that she have with UCLA, oh, she works so hard, and you could find that the depth inside of everything was injustice. Why? Because she has a 5 years old daughter that she could never be with
Okay.
because of her schedule. And then 5 days later, the thyroid tumor disappeared. And she's a medical doctor. So, and her colleague, another doctor, diagnosed her and they canceled the surgery. And this
Really?
woman, yes, and this woman is still, I don't know how many, she sent me at least 100 clients since then.
Wow.
What's interesting, your husband had a cancer 2 years later. He didn't want to call me, but when chemotherapy didn't work, he called me, and then we found the story, and he healed from it. Okay, of course, with a combination with a good medical treatment. And sometimes the emotional trauma is just a lock that deprives the person to go completely into healing.
So what
And
you said before was super interesting. So you said that you go up about 3 generations.
Yes.
Why don't you go
Yes.
further?
Because in biology, we respect the law of the four. And four is the number of the material world, is biological. Okay?
Okay.
And this work is based on a woman, Schutzenberger, who studied the family tree for 65 years. She died at 99 years old last year.
Oh, wow.
And she saw for 65 years generations. Okay? But she studied that. She has also a psychoanalytical background, and she studied that according to everything, and she put that together as a synthesis. And for her, the most important are the three closest generations to us. But you understand, Justin, that many people don't even know their grandparents. So at least we try to work with the client, with the two parents, and if we can, the four grandparents. So now if I have a disease at my level, I try to find what is the problem my ancestors did not resolve.
Okay.
Okay. So, for example, like I said, I had a client, that woman who had a thyroid tumor because the uncle committed suicide with hanging. But I have in Los Angeles, we have a client who had a lung cancer at 45 years old. A woman, okay, she has a stage 4. She went through all chemotherapy, and the doctor said sorry, and she went back home in order to die. And she prepared her will, and then she came for 2 sessions in recall healing. And we know we couldn't help her. And then just before she left, we asked her, we forgot to ask you a question. Which birth order number are you in your family? She was a number 2. And her mother is a number 1, only child. And the grandmother is a number 1, only, who had a sister who died from lung cancer at 45 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
When our clients heard her mother talking about that auntie, she felt, she had a chill all over. She shakes like this.
Wow. Yeah.
And 6 months later, she healed completely. Why? Because it's like if the brain asked the next generation to resolve the problem the ancestor couldn't resolve.
I see. Yeah.
But the first thing to resolve is what? Is simply to become aware of and to realize that it's finished. But it happened. Okay? So it's the same thing, for example, like when someone, for example, I have a sister who is nutritionist, okay? And then when you're a nutritionist, it's like chemist, a biochemist, you want to know what you put in your food, okay? What are the ingredients of your food? And my sister analyzed the quality of the food.
Okay.
And then when you go into her project purpose, what you call the pregnancy time, and it extends until the first year of life, there's a drama there. My father was crazy, and he tried to poison the family. And we had 2 bones that we didn't know they were poisoned. I was a child at that time. And someone gave these 2 bones to the dog, and the dog died.
Okay.
And that's the way they discovered that the bone was poisoned. But my sister was a nutritionist today. She was 3 weeks old at the time. So is it possible that her brain picks up the ambience? It's possible because for the last 30 years, she controlled the food quality in a big company that produced dog food.
Wow.
Okay?
That's amazing.
Yeah, so now the question is, why do you do the work that you do? Okay, for example, you, Justin, you're a communicator. You want people to know something. You want to inform people. You want to educate people. Why? That means in your background, some people suffered of ignorance. People were limited. People were held back. And some people certainly suffered of that. So you come, and then you want the knowledge to be known in with common sense. And not just to know, but you work on the body. You invite people that touch all spheres of the human beings. And So, and so me, I talk about this, but I also appreciate very much the work like Dr. Joe Dispenza, because he work on light. He want to awake the consciousness, and just working on the consciousness bring everything out as well. So whatever works, huh?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. We're going to take a little break right now, and when we come back, I want to talk with Dr. Renaud about heart attacks, and a lot of times he'll talk about the clogged arteries or the tumor. These are your body's actual processes to heal. Like these are the healing phase of the disease. Yet we think it's complete opposite. So I'd like to get into the example of a heart attack and how that plays into recall healing. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. This is episode 685. We're going to take a little break and we're going to come back. Also, we'll take some questions from the chat room as well. So I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Please pass it on to your friends if you would. That would be amazing. And so what I'm going to do right now is show you our relaxed far infrared sauna. So I wanted to let you guys know that the price is going to be increasing, unfortunately, on Sunday night. And this is kind of like a sale because the price is going to be increasing, and it's not our doing, it's the manufacturer. So we can't control that. So I wanted to let you guys know that it's going to be increasing by $100. So if you are interested in the Relaxed Far Infrared Sauna, make sure to check that out and pick one up before the price increases. And here's a little clip from our buddy, Dr. Thomas Levy, talking about the benefits of sweating in far infrared light. I think you guys were just talking about sweating, right? Mm-hmm. And detoxification. So sauna. That's going to be huge for people.
No, it's as long as you make sure you get plenty of the good minerals, man, having a regular sweat in a far infrared sauna is one of your best health practices you can come up with. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you get rid of a wide array of toxins. I mean, you get rid of mercury, you get rid of iron. They would have you believe you can't get rid of iron, but a lot of the older clinicians called the skin the third kidney.
Yeah, and here's another clip from our friend Robert Rowan talking about sweating. I mean, it seems like it's interesting because all of the natural doctors that we speak with, I mean, all of them talk about how incredible sweating is for detoxification, and it's not there's no dispute. And Dr. Rowan's a great one, and listen to what he has to say.
It's one of the biggest. The other issue is chemicals in the environment, and to get rid of chemicals in the environment, probably the most cost-effective method is to sweat them out. And far infrared saunas is going to help sweat them out. Uh-huh. I mean, look at the breast. What is the breast? It's 90% fat. It's only 10% mammary tissue. Mm-hmm. So the fat of the breast is going to store all these poisons, which act as estrogens, and hold it right up against sensitive mammary tissue.
And so these toxins get stored in the fat cells, and you can sweat these things out.
It's been shown that when you sweat in like far infrared saunas, you actually can begin downloading toxins from your body.
So we get a lot of emails from listeners asking about, the different types of saunas that are out there. And we sell many of them. We sell the wooden ones, the big wooden ones. If you guys are interested in those, we sell the ozone saunas. We sell the near-infrared. A lot of people ask about the near-infrared saunas, and they all have their unique benefits that are different from each other. So, but this one right here is my favorite. It's the Relaxed Far Infrared Sauna. And why I like it so much is that your head sticks out of it. That's the primary reason. From Ayurvedic perspective, it's very important to not heat your head up. And what's great about it too, I love it because I can watch a documentary, I can watch something, a video or something, and I can just let the time go by. And it's a great way to pass the time, and you sweat like crazy. And the benefits of sweating is so monumental. So make sure to pick one of these up. And what's cool too is that you can break these things down. If you don't have a lot of room, you can break it down and put it in a little storage bag and put it underneath your bed if you like. These are just great units. One, awards in Taiwan where they're built in a medical university there, and it's very low EMF coming off the the bottom, but it's just an incredible machine. I've been using mine for about 8 years, and I just love this thing. And so here's one more thing too that I want to let you guys know about, and this is a way to mitigate your environmental stress in your house, and that is dirty electricity coming from your walls, which is affecting. We've done multiple shows on this, and this is a great way to mitigate the amount of dirty electricity coming off of your walls.
Dirty electricity, what that does and what it is actually for people that aren't aware is when the power company is generating electricity and sending it to you, they don't have a constantly perfect steady supply of 120 volt, 60 hertz electricity pulsing to you perfectly every time. It fluctuates quite a bit, and if you put meters on it, you can see it'll fluctuate. And so that fluctuation, and there are micro fluctuations as well. And those micro fluctuations, all that fluctuation creates these pulses in the wiring that will create EMF pulses around you. I mean, the wires themselves, when electricity is flowing through them, that will create a field around the wires that can affect you. But then when you've got all that little pulsing and micro pulsing going on, it's creating these frequencies of fields that are pulsing and affecting you negatively. And so those devices like the Greenwave, they will act like an inductor and smooth that signal out so you don't get that pulsing. And then my devices, because of the scalar fields, they will structure the EMF coming off of the wires in your house and everything else as well. I use those. I use Stetzer filters and Greenwave. I got both.
Yeah, guys, here it is, a picture of it. If you guys are interested in looking at those in our store, if you guys want to support the work that we do, you can go to biochargeme.com and you can purchase any of the products from there, and that'll support the work that we do. But what I like about these things is that you can take them anywhere you like, which is great. And we had Brian Hoyer come to our house, gosh, what was it, a year ago? And he had $40,000 of equipment to test all the EMF and the wireless and the Wi-Fi and all that stuff. And it was incredible how much energy is being emitted from the walls. So what happens is our wiring, it runs on 60 hertz. And none of these wires that are in all of our walls are insulated. So what happens is that they're putting off magnetic and electric frequencies in all different directions, but we can't feel it. And so this is breaking down our cell membrane and allowing calcium to get into the cell where it doesn't belong. And according to Dr. Martin Paul, who's been on the show over 1,000 times, more concentration of calcium inside the cell. And he's mapped over 100 different diseases to this. So why not mitigate all that? And what you can do is put these little Greenwave filters in, and there's a little plug at the bottom of it too, so you're not going to use up a plug, and it just turns all that noise down by like 90-something%. So if you work somewhere where you can plug this in, you can put them in your kids' rooms, near your bed. You can buy 4 or 5 of them, and it's a great way to mitigate all of this environmental stress that we have going on. So if you guys want to support the show, go to biochargeme.com and pick up some of these Greenwave dirty electricity filters or this Relax Far Infrared Sauna. I'd highly recommend. And if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook right now, there should be links down below to both of these products. And if you're listening on a podcast, you can grab these at extremehealthradio.com/685. And we're going to go back to Dr. Renaud right after this. But if you have any questions and you're watching on Facebook, do me a favor and go over to the YouTube stream and type them in all caps. That way I don't miss any of them. And it's difficult for me to go back and forth from YouTube to Facebook. So I just want to make sure I don't miss any of your questions. But we're going to talk about heart attacks and heart disease and all of that with Dr. Gilbert Renaud coming up right after this. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Extreme Health Radio, and I hope you're enjoying this show. Please share it with your friends by tagging at Extreme Health Radio on Instagram. Stay tuned for new shows weekly.
Every single week we have new shows coming for you every Sunday night, and the other 6 days of the week if you're subscribed on iTunes or Stitcher or any of those places, we do our best of episodes. So 7 days a week you guys get shows from everything that we do, and this is a great way to stay up to date with everything we have going on. So make sure to subscribe. Leave us a review too. That actually helps us quite a bit. I don't exactly know why, but I guess iTunes says if a lot of people leave reviews, especially good ones, it helps us in the rankings for when you search on iTunes for podcasts. So that'd be a great way to support the show as well. Let me turn Dr. Gilbert Renaud's audio back on. All right, Doc. So I think coming back, I wanted to sort of get into heart attacks, if that's something that you're interested in explaining.
Yes. Just before I answer any question on that, my wife and I just received that sauna you talk about on your show.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yes, we didn't even plug it yet, so we're very excited because I heard of it. Very good indication for health.
Oh my gosh, and it's going to feel so good up there in the winter, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yes, it's important.
Oh, great.
Super. So okay, so heart attack. Okay, so do you notice that when we study for example, the statistic of heart attack 80 years ago, we had maybe 90% of heart attack, they were the fact of male. And we say normally a heart attack touch male, more macho, not macho in the sense of a bad guy, macho in the sense that he feels everything is on his shoulder. Okay, he has to make money, he has to feed the family, he has to pay for everything. And then when he loses something that is important to him, bang, heart attack. Okay? We say heart attack can be the consequence of losing a territory or the repair phase of winning that territory, for example. But in the statistic today, 50-50 between men and women.
Okay.
Why? Because long time ago, women were in the kitchen, church, and children. They were there. Now women, they're on the market. They are fighting men, other women. They are fighting for their company, for their business. Now it's equal. So when we talk about heart attack together right now, it's a person, a man or woman, who is on his masculine brain.
Okay.
In biology, the right brain is the masculine brain. And you have just above the right ear a center that controls the coronary arteries. Okay. So now, if I fight for something I want to keep, I want to buy a house, I want to keep my partner, I want to save my company, I work very hard. And during that time, I'm in a stress phase where my brain will enlarge the inner diameter of my coronary arteries in order to allow more blood to fight better, to feed the muscle, to fight. Because the heart attack is the repair phase of a fight mode. So now, if I win what I want or I lose, I go into repair phase of that. I relax. The problem in the repair phase, the brain needs to bring back the inner diameter of the coronary arteries like it was before the conflict. And the brain uses cholesterol, blood platelets like thick blood to patch the wall of these coronaries to find the inner diameter like before. Yeah, but the problem above the head here, above the right ear, in that center, you have also the center of the heartbeat. And there's a moment where, when you have a massive arrival of cholesterol to patch the wall, sometimes it causes in the center, the center of the heartbeat, it causes the heart to stop for a few seconds at the same time of the massive arrival of cholesterol. If the heart didn't stop, the cholesterol would be equally dispatched and the lumen will keep going through, the blood could go through the coronary arteries. But because the heart stopped, it creates a congestion and now you have a complete clogged artery. And so that's very important. This is why we say when someone has a heart attack, the first thing you can do is to put ice above the right ear, because it allows, in 50% of the time, the heart to beat again.
Oh, interesting.
Okay? Nobody knows that, but people who study a little bit the work of Dr. Hammer, who developed that to the maximum, they know that.
That's interesting. Okay, so what's happening is that you actually have a trauma that's happening behind the scenes. It's going on, and you're trying to fight and to preserve your territory.
Yes.
Say you have a business, someone's trying to overtake it, and you're trying to fight for your territory. Or let's say it's a court case or something, and then you win the court case, and you've gone through maybe a year of court case issues, right? And then you win the court case, and that's when the heart attack usually happens, right? At the end.
Exactly. You win or you lose, the result is the same. Okay? Why? Because it's a stress. You have to fight to prepare that. Okay? And it's like if you feel alone in that story. Okay? And then we say people have heart attack, they have something in common. They don't share their inner feelings of this when they go through that stress. They look so solid, so good, These guys normally have never lost in their life. They can't tolerate the loss. The loss is unbearable. And we noticed that when you study the deer stag in November. For 2 weeks, they fight because the young stag wants to kick them out to have the right to fertilize the 7 females. When the old stag loses, he wants to come back. But the fight in nature lasts just 2 weeks. So what happens to the old stag who lost the territory? He died from heart attack. And if you open his heart, he's full of cholesterol. Although he doesn't eat any butter, doesn't drink any wine, doesn't eat any margarine. Right. So what? Okay, all the theory about the heart attack and cholesterol is totally false. False like false. Okay, so the cholesterol is produced by the brain in the body.
Okay, so in this case, then someone's going through a court case, right, or a very stressful event. Typically, how long does the stressful event have to last for this outcome to be that way? And then what can we do during that time if we're aware of all this stuff?
Verbalize, talk how you feel when you go through that. Remember, if you don't give an issue with your word, it goes in the tissue, the body. Okay? And think about that. You know, I'm not too into Bible, but in the Bible, Jesus said, put your treasure where nobody can't ever take them away from you. You came into this world naked and you will leave this world naked. So what does that mean? That means enjoy what you have, the time you can enjoy it, but you are not that. But the problem, people have heart attack, they identify themselves with the territory, with the company, with the partner. You have some people, their partner leave, they die from heart attack. Because without the partner, they are nothing in their mind. Okay? So if you realize that inside of you, you have something like Christ, a strength, nobody can ever touch that. You're always that. You cannot die from heart attack.
So it's really important to make sure that when you're going through stressful times, to realize that, and then also to verbalize it with someone who can listen to you, right, during that process.
Yes. And you know, many people, they lose something, but 2 years ago they had nothing, and now they're going to have a heart attack because they can lose $50,000. Okay? And look, you have some people, I give you an example on the positive side, but it's still a heart attack. A man, he worked in a company, he was a manager, everybody loved him. And his dream is to have a Corvette. And then when he retired, the whole company offered him a Corvette. He had the ride of his life, and that night he died from heart attack. Wow. You fulfill your dream. Okay, so what you do in order not to die from heart attack, you make a list of 5 things you always wanted, and you keep 3 that you never get.
Right.
So because if you fulfill all your dreams, what else? It's time to go. Okay. So keep yourself with an appetite for things, okay? So, and you say, one day I will get it, and maybe 150 years old, you will get it.
That's so interesting. Yeah, so because what happens is a lot of people, when they're going through these things, they don't understand this, right? And so they I guess they just completely do all the things wrong in a sense. They identify themselves with the company or their position or their territory, and the stress goes through the roof, and they don't do anything to mitigate that, right?
They cannot think properly. They are overwhelmed by the emotion. Huh? They are blinded by that. And this is why sometimes if you have a good friend that pushes you, hey, wake up, look. And then the person normally is unaware that he is in that situation. And this is why he is going to get a disease in the body. But if he gets an electroshock by a friend that wakes him up, okay, shakes the box, he has a chance to say something about it. It's like a big balloon that you keep in silence. And then if you break the balloon, there's nothing to download in the subconscious.
I see.
But the danger is to go to bed with a full balloon, because many people, they wake up the morning after, they feel better, but they don't know where went the balloon. It went into the subconscious, and now it's a retarding bomb in the subconscious that may be activated now or later in a cycle. Okay.
So what is that called? Like when you do work like that, where you go back, let's say you're 50, then you go back to 25, then 12 and a half.
Yeah.
Is that called timeline therapy? Or
It's exactly that. Okay. We say we build a life timeline based on the cycles, right? And we start with dividing by 2. Okay. But sometimes you can divide by 2, by 3, by 4. Why? Because the brain works in a mathematic fashion, and the brain has recorded in a holographic way everything that happened during the pregnancy, and it will be unfolded all our life by cycles.
Wow.
This is why all of us, that you have any problem, divide by 2, you always find the pregnancy. And many of you have forgotten that you've been conceived by 2 parents. So what happened at conception? You know, we have a girl, 8 years old. She come with her mom, and she cannot calculate 2 plus 2 equal 4. Okay, she writes 5, 6, 2, and then what happened is the mother used the method of the calendar for contraception, and she was with her husband. They had a bottle of wine, and she knows she should not have sex tonight because she may be pregnant.
Okay.
But they were so aroused that decided, okay. And then she went to the calendar and she said, "Oh no, I'm not fertile. Let's go." So they have their moment in the bedroom. And the morning after, she went to the calendar, and then we are in the month of January, but the calendar was in December.
Okay.
She miscalculated. Okay. So now that girl, 8 years old, exists because of her miscalculation. How can she be accurate when she calculates?
Wow.
If she is right with the right answer, she does not exist. So her
exist.
brain, yes, okay. So now when her mother told her that, she told me that, but the girl was there. She heard her mother talking about that. And then her brain says, "Oh, it's not my problem. It was my mother's problem." Okay. And then in the following day, she calculated accurately in school.
So what's interesting about that, Doc, is that this doesn't necessarily happen to be all health-related stuff. I mean, that was kind of a mental mix-up that she was having, right? So it affects all aspects of life.
Yeah, all aspects. Okay, it touches our obsessive-compulsive disorder. It touches our behavior, even some addictions, and also many conditions, of course.
You know,
Yes.
I heard you speaking once. It might. I'm pretty sure it was you. But they were. You were explaining a story of a past patient or something that, where the daughter had peanut allergies or some really bad allergy, and the mother was, I think, at some point growing up, or maybe during pregnancy, was getting putting some peanut butter on a sandwich and got the call that her father had died or something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, is that the story?
So you have a good memory. Okay. So her daughter is 12 years old. She's allergic to peanut butter since she's 6 years old. But from 0 to 6 years old, she eats peanut butter sandwich. She likes that. Yes, but why did she become allergic at 6 years old? First is because it's the first day she got separated from her mother because she had to go to school with the yellow school bus. She lived on a farm. She was homeschooled until 6, and then it was a big shock of separation for the first time. So now when you have a big shock, the brain reconnects you with your birth or with the pregnancy, because the pregnancy and birth is a moment we're very far from the time we're going to die. Okay? So when you have a shock, the brain reconnects you with your life. Yes, but the mother, when she's 6 months pregnant, she's spreading the peanut butter on her toes that are warm. Okay, and you know the vapor of the peanut butter smells peanut very strong, and that's the moment she got a phone call that her father is going to die. Conflict of separation, in the context of the smell of peanut butter. So finally, the father didn't die, but it was a stress. So now when she got separated from mom at 6 years old, the brain remembered what happened at 6 months of pregnancy, and she became allergic to peanut butter. So now the mother became aware of that. So when her daughter came back from school the same day, she told that story to her daughter, who said, I knew it, Mom, it's not my problem. I love peanut butter. And then she spread peanut butter sandwich right away, and she ate it. And the mother freaked out. And she has an EpiPen shot just in case of allergic reaction. But the girl never had any reaction, okay, because it was clear for her. And a disease that you find a lot is the gluten allergy. And a good question to ask someone with gluten allergy is, who was a bread maker in your family? Or, you do bread, or you do pizza, pasta, you process the flour, And it's amazing when people remember that, quite often they heal their gluten allergy and they can eat bread.
That's so fascinating. So it's interesting too, because this explains a lot where people will have an issue with a certain health condition or a reaction to food, like this peanut butter, just sort of out of the blue, and they say, I've been able to do this my whole life, and all of a sudden it doesn't make any sense. I can't eat this food anymore. Yeah. But this explains all of that, and it makes sense out of it, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. And most allergy today, you have to go back to the first time you have the first allergic reaction. You have some kids, they sleep with cats. They lick their cats. They love their cats. They are not allergic. But the parents give the cat away because for them it's too much problem. So the child lives a separation with that cat. He loves the cat. 5 years later, he visits a friend who has a cat. So he reconnects with the cat that he was deprived 5 years ago. Okay? And then he has an allergic reaction. The allergic reaction is, I reconnect for the first time with the element that I felt separated from.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You drink a coffee with someone that you love, and she says to you, sorry, I break up with you. And your brain makes the association with the coffee, for example. You have some people, they cannot drink coffee anymore after that.
That's sad.
Yeah, yes. It's sad.
So what do you think is happening biologically in the nervous system when someone heals a trauma in that way? And why do you think it takes a couple days for the body to get rid of an allergy or a tumor or something? Like what happens at that time when your patient comes to this realization and does their healing? Like what's going on biologically, do you think?
I'd always like to answer from another door, okay, if I may. Right? So you know very well about quantum physics. Right? And the best thing is, in recalling, we build a lifetime line, what happened in the pregnancy, and we build the family tree. What do we do when we do that? We create a field of observation that we observe like outside of the box. And quantum physics says, when an observer observes very well the experience, he changes the result of the experience. Okay? So it's like if you observe that you were in deep, in French Canadian we say in deep shit, okay? You were in deep trouble. That moment, you observe that, and you see the connection with early childhood and maybe the pregnancy of your mother with you and some ancestor. You see that, and just observing that, Justin, life is never the same. Okay? It is, I'm not talking about ayahuasca to take ayahuasca, okay? But observe people who give their feedback on ayahuasca. Yes, some people, they say, I went out, I saw the universe, I saw the stars, I saw the space. And when they came back in their life, their life changed completely. And they heal, they change their behavior. Why? Because they change their perception. And at a biological level, when you observe your life timeline, pregnancy time, and family tree, it's a similar experience that you observe something like you observe the space, and something change automatically. You cannot see life the same way.
Do you think that this is kind of a softball question, but do you think there's any physical ailments or health challenges that don't have at least a connection to a spiritual emotional trauma? Or do you think everything is related?
In this work, I'm very humble because you never know if what you know is enough.
Uh-huh.
Because you have different paralysis that you cannot help. You have many pathology like Down syndrome. We cannot help. So the field is still wide to be explored, and there are many things I cannot answer why it's like that. Okay? So, but what I do is my part at a biological level, and then you can always, whatever doesn't work with what you know, maybe there are other reasons that you can extrapolate, you can understand with other field of therapy or the field of exploration. And, I don't know what is your position regarding reincarnation. Okay? But in my work, sometimes for example, when I cannot get a result with a client, sometimes I ask my clients to study maybe having some regression therapy. Sometimes they read some books from Dr. Brian Weiss. And then, for example, I had a client, a woman, she was extremely jealous, very angry at her sister-in-law. And whatever I did with her, I couldn't change anything. And then she had a regression with a student of Dr. Brian Weiss. And then she saw that in the past life, she killed that woman. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So now today, she was more patient since she knows she killed her in the past life. Okay.
Wow.
She understood why she was jealous of her. Okay.
Wow.
But it's just an example. I don't know if it's true. Okay. But it works.
Yeah.
It's all what counts is that it works. Okay. So, but sometimes you have to find the reason why you have a problem. Sometimes it's out of your understanding.
Yeah, it makes total sense that what you're saying and how the nervous system would download these traumas, because they have to go somewhere. And a lot of times in the natural health field, we kind of treat it like an extension of the medical field, and the whole allopathic model. And what we try to do is if we have a headache, we're going to take white willow bark instead of aspirin, or we're going to do something else, and we focus on the physical aspects. But what I think the first place to start in your healing is the emotional, spiritual trauma connection. And then you can start working down the physical. You can do the physical at the same time, right?
Yes. And when we talk about headache, okay, we use the brain to think. So when you think very strong, you're in stress. When you're in stress, it's contraction, no headache. When you are in the repair phase, you succeeded with what you thought. For example, you had a task to fulfill, you were in stress, and now you finish. Headache, normally. Okay, This is why we have 90% of headache women. So headache is the repair phase of a conflict of feeling intellectually devalued. Why women? Because when you raise a child between 0 and 6 years old, let's call the boy. Hey, darling, come here. Oh, you're so strong. You're so smart. And then call the girl. Hi, darling. Oh, you're so pretty. Oh, you're so cute. She never hears that she's smart. So when we start school, who is first in school? All the girls, all the boys, they have nothing to prove. They were told for 6 years that they were smart. But the girls in their subconscious, they never heard. They heard they were beautiful, but they never heard, like their brother, that they were smart. Okay? So now it's like if all their life they succeed to heal that memory in the subconscious. So if you understand that when you have a headache, it's the repair phase of feeling intellectually devalued, as soon as you make the connection, it goes away.
Now, do you think that that is the case with, menstrual headaches that are hormone related? Do you think that it's all connected like that? Yeah.
Oh yes, for me, okay. But you need to know how to work for that. But I give you an example. Put that in the cycle. We say, oh, migraine is linked to the cycle. Look, all women who have been Catholic, who have loved Holy Mary, think about that in the 3 previous generation. Okay, Holy Mary got pregnant without sex. Okay, now all the girls who love Holy Mary, they know if you can be like Holy Mary, you can be pregnant without sex. But now, how can you justify that you didn't have sex if you're pregnant? Okay, so you have many girls. I noticed that because I work for example, in Poland, is 95% Catholic. And many of the women there with headache, they have a fear that they cannot justify if they were pregnant because they never had sex. Okay, so when they have their period, I'm not pregnant, headache.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, but me, I'm from Quebec. It was crazy Catholic in the 50s and the 60s. Okay, yeah. So and I found that with many women there. But think about that. Now we have 3 generations of that, the descendants. Okay, many women today they don't go to church. Yes, but this memory is in their cellular memory. Okay, and yes, and then I have so many good stories with headache. And one of the conflict of headache for women is I regret my father was my father. Why? Because most women marry a man that remind them subconsciously to their father. Okay. So now imagine that you marry a man, if everything is nice, no headache. But if he start to behave like your father, who was an alcoholic, who cheated on mom or whatever, okay, headache comes because I marry a man like that. So I regret my father was my father, symbolically. Wow. And I know we need time to develop each case to provide a better understanding, but it's what we do inside of the workshop, Recall Healing.
That's fascinating because when, people don't realize that, like in your work, especially like in your book, Recall Healing, the Pyramid of Health, you can go to the index and there's literally hundreds of different cases, and everything maps back. Look at that book.
This book, yes, you have an index and then...
And you can find everything in there ties back to certain conflicts, right? I mean, it all ties back.
Yes.
Which is fascinating.
Yes. And we have, I have a colleague, Dr. Michelle Schrader, who is now Dr. Michelle Dawson since she married her husband. And she has the website recallhealingusa.com. And she is wonderful. She gives a lot of workshop in USA, and I needed someone like Michelle to keep going because there are not many like us. Okay, so I appreciate very much her good work in USA. And she's an excellent therapist and teacher.
Yeah. She's great. I'm going to bring up your website real quick so people can take a look. And that's just recallhealing.com. So if people want to pursue a little bit further, which I would recommend everybody do if you're currently dealing with something that you want to get on top of, and maybe you've tried all kinds of allopathic protocols, and you've tried medications, you've tried natural doctors, and things haven't worked, and you're looking for something that can actually get to the root cause of why our bodies hold on to these invisible processes. I would really recommend connecting with recallhealing.com. So do you work with people, or do you primarily do workshops? How do people dive into your work?
Right now, I do mainly workshops with Europe, and all my clients are from my student in Europe because I cannot do everything. I had to divide with Dr. Michelle Dawson in USA. So this is why we have 2 websites, recallhealing.com for international, recallhealing USA for USA. So like that, I can breathe and I can focus better on my work. Yeah.
That's so cool. So if people want to work with you, can they do that?
I prefer to refer to Dr. Michelle Dawson. This is why I suggest you that website, recallhealingusa.com. If Dr. Michelle is overwhelmed, maybe I can help her, but right now it's me who is overwhelmed. I have more than 6 months waiting list, and yeah.
Okay, so I'm bringing her website up, and I'll link this too in the show notes for those that want to check it out at extremehealthradio.com/685, and also 128, which was your original episode with us back in 2013. But so this is Recall Healing USA, and people can contact her, which I recommend too. I mean, she's been on the show, I think, once or twice, and I love her. She's amazingly talented, isn't she?
And I can tell you, she's even much better than before.
Wow.
Because, when you do this work, there's a moment, it's like you open a box, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's like a quantum leap. Mm-hmm. And to me, she has reached that quantum leap because she can teach to medical doctors in different countries. Mm-hmm. She took over me in Russia, in Poland, and Ukraine because I'm too busy somewhere else. And she brings very good light with this knowledge, and this is why I'm very proud to talk about her.
Yeah, she's awesome, and we've had her on the show a couple times, and we'll have her on again. But I just love promoting this work and your work in particular because I feel like there's something here. There's a reason why like our body holds on to these invisible processes. Like why is a child's blood developing leukemia? And if you go to the medical model or if you go to the natural alternative model, there's no real reason as to why our bodies are doing this. But your work makes so much sense of all this stuff,
Yes, but the real problem, is to name the issue, the cause behind that, and nobody wants to take responsibility, and we don't accuse anybody. But you know what? When you're a parent and you produce a child like that, and you bring that child to the doctor, what does the doctor to heal a child like that? He knows what he knows, but like me, what you study in university doesn't teach you really the real truth about everything. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's very limited. So this is why we let the healthcare professionals doing their work, but on top of that, we try to find the root cause of it to optimize the chance of the child to heal. Mm-hmm. And we see that sometimes like tragic, but it's just a drama that the parents couldn't resolve at that time. Mm-hmm. And the way they felt. And once they acknowledge that and they tell the child, you free the child. The problem is during the pregnancy, the drama of the parents is recorded by the brain of the child as it has happened to the child. So like that, I can't never blame my parent. Okay, this is why when the parents talk to the child during the sleep, he tells the child exactly what happened to the parents. The brain of the child says, oh, it didn't happen to me. Finish. Wow. Okay.
So do you only have to do that once, do you think, during the sleep?
It depends of the problem, but it depends also the genuine. More the parent is genuine and talks with her his emotion. Like a woman has a hyperactive child and it didn't work. Okay. I told her, talk to your child. Why a child is hyperactive? He showed his mother that he's alive. Okay, so what happened during the pregnancy? She didn't move for 3 months. She freaked out, and when he moved, she's happy. Okay, so now the brain records when I move and make my mother happy. Yes, but now he's alive and he moves all the time. She's getting crazy. So when she tells him, she says, I know, darling, you're alive. You don't need to tell me. But she didn't put intensity in what she says. And he keeps being crazy in movement. And then one day, he almost burned himself on the iron while she was ironing. He was running around the house like crazy. And she lost it. She said, "Darling, I know you're alive. Stop to secure mommy. I don't need to be secure anymore." And he looked at her, and the message went through. From that moment, he was more relaxed.
Okay, so it matters as to the intensity and the emotionality of how you're speaking to the child when they're sleeping.
Yes. It's like another mother, she told me, "I talked to my child, and he still has the same problem." I asked her, "How do you talk to your child?" "You know, darling, mama does this, does..." I said, "Fuck, don't talk. Say, darling, mommy loves you. You know, when I was pregnant at 3 months, something happened with Papa." And then the same night, that student told her child what I told her to say. And when she told her child, he was 4 years old, okay? He started to do that. Wow. He opened up, and she realized now it went through, okay?
That's so fascinating, because I think if you're like me and you listen to podcasts and stuff, and you kind of just saying, okay, now how can I apply what he's saying into my life, into my family circumstances? And, you know, for us, my wife, Kate, had a really, really challenging pregnancy. Like, it was, you know, our kids are 2.5 and they're twins, and the twin boys. And she has like this 9-centimeter fibroid. And so when she was pregnant, you know, it would ball up and it would just get so intense for her. And it was actually a relief to give birth, even though it was like, oh my gosh, now the craziness starts with twins, right? But it was a relief because the pregnancy was so difficult and there's so much emotion and she was in so much pain. And so I think this would be a good thing for us to explore talking to them while they're sleeping, you know?
Absolutely. And what's the most important, because I know we have many mothers and fathers online right now, and the most important, remember, mothers, you're a machine to find solutions. We live drama for generations, and many grandma, mother, daughter, they all their life they find solutions to problem. And when we find solution, we are not sick. Okay, so don't worry. Okay.
Yeah. Gosh, Dr. Renaud, thank you so much for being on the show. That was so much fun, and you know we went a little bit over, but I think we, you know, gave people to things to think about that maybe they've never thought about before.
Yeah. So we say in therapy we have to use everything and whatever works. Okay. This is why me, despite what I know right now, I keep studying. I keep saying things. If I see something that can optimize the chance to optimize the efficiency of this work, I integrate it. Because we are in a world right now that the knowledge, the understanding is exponential.
Doc, thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate your work so much, and I think that your work is so seminal and so foundational to healing. And I think that a lot of times we focus, like I said before, on the physical, but gosh, there's so much going on behind the scenes, especially on an emotional, spiritual level. And I think that's where people should start, and then work physical as well. So I appreciate your work so much. Yeah.
And the last thing we can say to people, you know, when you go through something very hard, every night, if you can, journal to take it out, to give an issue to it, okay? And don't forget to breathe.
Yeah.
Breathing is one of the key to keep in control and to keep your sanity.
Yeah, and you know, and too, I was just thinking when you're saying that, you know, that really difficult or stressful situation that you may be going through, and at the end of the night, honoring that and saying and kind of acknowledging that stressful situation as something that is helping you grow spiritually, emotionally, and honoring the actual event itself, you know, and how you're dealing with it too.
Yes. You know, I have some mothers, they're in cry because they cannot help their child. And then when I talk with them, I see what they do for their child. I say to that woman, my God, you should receive the Nobel Prize of Motherhood, you know? and then she realized that she does something, but you always see the little problem, and you don't see the whole thing that you do.
Right.
You know, you're wonderful. You know, when you're parents, you give your life So you have to value that. It's wonderful.
Gosh. Again, Doc, you know what? You're welcome on the show anytime. And just if you have anything new that you want to talk about, or just, because I love your work so much, and I just appreciate all that you do. And I constantly refer people to your work.
So you're always welcome to invite me, and I will come.
Great. All right, Doc. So one final question for you, my friend. Okay. You're up north. What are you going to do today? The rest of today, are you going to do anything fun, or what are you going to do?
What I'm going to do, is for us in Canada, when you have a business, it's tax time. So I complete that, but we have a beautiful sun right now, so I'm going to work a little bit on the property. Okay. I have a little land, and I support my wife with a garden, so we work a little bit to prepare the spring that is coming quick.
I love it. Okay, cool. Well, that sounds like a good rest of your day. Well, I appreciate you so much. So I'll be in contact. I'll send you the link to this video. And what I'll try to do, too, because of all the censorship that's sort of happening, I don't know if we're going to be able to keep our YouTube channel or whatever. So I'll try to send you the actual video, and you can do whatever you like with it. So in case we get taken out.
I feel that whatever you say, you're very politically correct, So I know you are very innovative, but you talk with a very good common sense.
I try.
So yes, that's wonderful. And so I would like to say to all your audience, even if we're later in January, Happy New Year 2021. Nice. And to your wife, Key, and to your twins, and to you, have a great year.
Thanks, Doc. You too. And I will see you soon, and I'll contact you via email too. So I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Doc. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. All right, guys. There you go. Doctor, they say in French, I think the French is Gilbert Renaud. And so in America, we say Gilbert. But I hope you enjoyed that show. So I got an interesting email as we're talking, and I sent an email out about how this is going to be our last live stream. And so I want to talk with you about that as to why, because the person asked why this was Natasha. And then I also want to share with you some ideas about honoring our mom and dad, and in relationship to this work that Dr. Renaud is doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed that show. If you have anybody that you know about that may be interested in this type of work, do me a favor and pass this show on to them, because I really feel like it's seminal and foundational, like we're talking about. So please pass this on to them. And we're going to take a little break right now, and I want to share with you some further ideas just for a couple minutes after the break, and so we can explore that a little bit further on the live stream. But check this out. This is my favorite product. I love this stuff, and I'm so sad when we run out of it, and that's the colostrum. And so if you're looking to rebuild your gut and modulate your immune system, colostrum is one of the most powerful ways of doing that. And in these times, like, who doesn't want a strong immune system, right? Who doesn't want better digestion and a healthier gut? I mean, who doesn't want those things? And so this is what colostrum can do. And here's our buddy, this is Daniel Vitalis talking about gut health and colostrum. It's pretty cool.
So colostrum is the first food that all baby mammals receive, or all natural baby mammals receive. So when we were born, our mother's breasts were initially filled with colostrum before actually there was any milk available to us. And in an ideal circumstance, that's the first thing we drink. Well, the same is true for all mammals, and it's especially true for cows. One of the interesting things about bovine colostrum, cow colostrum, is it has a really unique impact on human health. This has been studied for a really long time. There are literally thousands of studies in the scientific literature showing the effects of bovine colostrum on human health, on human immunity, on restoring the gut lumen, the gut tract, repairing damage to the gut, and helping to restore health after things like IBS or Crohn's or diverticulitis or any of the sort of inflammatory bowel diseases. And it does this through a number of actions, but primarily through the fact that it contains all of the known mammalian growth factors. And these proteins that we call growth factors initiate growth in tissue throughout the body. And each type of tissue in our body has a specific growth factor. Well, they're all found in colostrum.
Yeah, colostrum's an incredible superfood, and it's something that I've been taking for years now. And I really encourage you guys to get some. And it's like a whole food, so I don't really consider this to be a supplement. So the ways that you can use this, you can put it in smoothies, you can put it in juices, you can put it in coffee. Like I add some colostrum and some creamer and some chocolate and some sweeteners to coffee, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and you're getting all these beautiful immune modulating compounds along with the ability for it to restore and repair your gut. So this is a great superfood. So if you guys are interested in the colostrum, I highly recommend going over to Surthrival and grabbing some and trying it out and getting on a regular thing for this. It's just a great product, and that's available down in the links below. So if you guys want to grab some, if you're watching on video, there should be links down below. If you're listening to the audio, there should be links at extremehealthradio.com/685. And then here is a little bit by Dr. Sam Byrne, who's actually done a whole eye workshop inside our Extreme Health Academy. So if you want to heal your vision of any kind, we do a whole entire workshop getting into specific protocols in that in our workshop that we do every month inside the Extreme Health Academy. But here he is talking about jumping up and down on a mini trampoline. It's pretty cool. Check it out.
I wanted to mention about rebounders just for a minute. There's been some studies that rebounders bring down the eye pressure in glaucoma. And it's something that I recommend for people who've been diagnosed with glaucoma. And I've done a lot of videos on the connection between the lymph system and eye health. So I'm right there with you. I think the rebounder is a great activity for improving eye lymph and overall lymph health.
Mm-hmm. I think so too, because what people talk about it, and it being a cellular exercise, you go to the gym and you can't work out like, cells in your body or different areas of your body, like your nose and your eyes and things like that. But jumping up and down, it affects every cell in your body, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. It impacts the meridians, as you say, the lymph circulation, the cerebral spinal fluid. So, and a lot of people just have lymph chi stagnation. They're not getting enough movement. Partly because we're sitting and looking at screens all day.
Mm-hmm. Our modern culture is so crazy, everything we do. Yeah, guys, and it is crazy, everything we do. Like, everything is backwards. It's kind of like what he was saying, during that show. I mean, the tumor, the heart attack, all of that stuff is the body actually healing itself. But we get, we put our nose where it doesn't belong, and then we get a diagnosis, and we don't let the body actually do any of the actual healing. And so when we get involved like that, especially with a diagnosis, then we start, fear creeps in and things start going south. But everything is opposite in our culture. And so I would recommend getting one of these Bellicon Rebounders, something that I do every single day. And I jump up and down, and, flushing out and cleansing your lymph system is so critical. It's a longevity exercise. It's anti-aging. It's great for circulation. It's great for your cardiovascular health, but it's primarily a longevity exercise. And what I like about it too is that it does stimulate every single cell of your body. So there's this G-force that happens at the bottom of the bounce, where your every cell is being impacted by this G-force that's happening, and then it opens and closes these one-way valves of your lymphatic system, which is a great way to cleanse. And so it's a cleansing exercise, which is crazy. And so what's great is that you can do this and then jump in the sauna right after and sweat out all these toxins that get released from our lymphatic flushing that we do on the Bellicon. So that's why I like to kind of combine these therapies and bring these healing tools into your home and turn your home into a healing place, so that you can jump up and down for 5 or 10 minutes, jump in the sauna and sweat out all of your toxins. And so these things all work together, and I'd really recommend picking one of these up. I used to do those really cheap ones from Walmart, and I went through like 5 or 6 of them. They were so hard on my joints, I couldn't do it anymore because my knee was killing me when I was doing it. But these are like jumping on air, because they use these flexi ropes, and the legs fold. There's little bars you can hold on if you're concerned about balance. The Bellicon is like just the cream of the crop of rebounders. It's the best company out there, and their machines are the best. So I really recommend getting these. You can do them while the kids are sleeping. They're silent. You can fold it up, put it underneath your bed. That's great for storage. And you can, I like to do it outside, but you can watch TV while you're doing it. So it's really, really a great exercise, and something that I would really recommend that all of you guys get involved with and bringing these things into your home. So check out the Bellicon Rebounds on biochargeme.com. And also, guys, just to, an FYI, our saunas are going up in price on Sunday night. That's not our sort of decision, unfortunately, but it was something that we had to do because of our manufacturer are raising prices, and we're forced to do it. So yeah, make sure to grab one of those saunas and save yourself $100 before January 31st, midnight Pacific time, 2021. So make sure to grab one of those to save money, and we'll be right back.
We hope you're enjoying this episode. Thanks for being on this health journey with us, and don't forget to check out biochargeme.com for hundreds of health products to build a better you.
And this is how we stay in business, guys. It's great. It's a win-win for everybody because we don't take any, financial compensation from companies trying to advertise on our show. What we do is we seek out and use products that we love and that we think you will love. And what happens is that when you purchase through one of our links, we'll get a little commission, and that commission is what helps us to stay in business, to pay the server cost, to pay for the website, to pay for all the technology that we use, the live shows, and all of that stuff. It costs money every month, and also to pay for our bills and food for the kids and all that kind of stuff. So, and also one of the great things about supporting us on biochargeme.com is that if you do that, we'll give you a 30-day trial to the Extreme Health Academy, and that place is just awesome. Like this morning, we had the best talk about technology, about extracting ourselves from the matrix. It was a group call that we do every Friday morning with our members on Zoom, and we get to know each other, make friends, and support each other. Not just motivation and inspiration, but also tactical aspects and things we can do to overcome our health. And for me, I'm just really grateful for that because sometimes, like, I just feel so alone. I don't know about you guys, but do you feel like that? Like, you feel so alone. You feel like you're the only one that sort of sees through all this stuff that's happening in our culture today. I mean, you probably feel like that, right? I mean, I do. And this is why it's really important to surround yourself with people that see things the same way you do. And it's a great thing to have a group of people to connect with every Friday morning. And we're considering doing it on another day as well, because I have such a great time. And, sometimes I'm a little bit late because that conversation is right before our live shows here. And it runs so late because I'm having such a great time. But so yeah, if you support us by buying on biochargeme.com, I will give you a 30-day trial to the Extreme Health Academy. So just email me and I'll give you a special link that you can get a 30-day trial and you can get access for free. So what do you think about Dr. Renaud? Did you enjoy that? I hope you did. And I hope that it sort of brings another aspect of health and healing and another option for what you can do on a deeper level than just spirituality, or just physical aspects. Because like I said on the show, oftentimes we focus on the physical stuff because the spiritual stuff or emotional stuff takes more work, right? We don't want to deal with that kind of stuff, but that's really the invisible process. Like I was saying before, why is it that your body's doing something? Why is it holding on to a tumor, or why is it holding on to blood sugar levels aren't regulated? Like, why is it doing that? And it's doing that to save your life. So when you get into the deeper spiritual stuff, you realize you don't even need to do some of the physical things. Although I recommend in our academy that you work on every level. You work on the spiritual, emotional side, and you also work on the physical side. And also light, water, and magnetism makes a huge, huge impact in our health as well. And so, but the problem is, like I said, a lot of people just want to focus with their diet and, physical stuff like that. And sometimes you could do all the right things from a physical perspective and realize that nothing's working and nothing's changing. And so if that's the case with you, I'd really recommend going further. And what I like about Dr. Renaud and Dr. Schrader as well is that it's not just the regurgitation of past traumas and just throwing it up into a bucket and then going through it all and sorting it all out and all that kind of stuff like regular therapy. This is true liberating therapy that really helps you at a deep emotional, spiritual level. And so this is why I like promoting their work. And I can't tell you how many people I've helped inside the academy, and everyone's focused on the physical stuff because it's easy. It's much easier than dealing with your emotional traumas, that's for sure. So I hope that you listened to that and was able to look at some aspects of your own life where you could start healing and forgiving and detaching yourself from who you think you are and those things that you hold on to. So I hope you really enjoyed that show. This is our job, and to put forth information that's going to help you. Information that not only will you not hear it in the mainstream news or in the mainstream media in any capacity, but most likely you won't even hear this information in the alternative field as well. Because the alternative field, like I mentioned before, the alternative, what they do is they just focus on a natural version of the body's sick. It's depleted in this. So instead of taking this drug, we'll take this herb, and there you go. But really, all these things happen for a reason, right? We get sick for a reason, and there's an invisible process that's holding on to something for a reason. And recall healing, I know there's timeline therapy, there's Gestalt therapy, there's all kinds of different therapies and things. And so I'd encourage you to work, there's the energy or the healing code and all that kind of stuff. And there's all kinds of deeper things that I'd really recommend you working on every level. Pick one thing from a spiritual, emotional perspective and do that along with all the physical stuff. And I think you're going to get really great results. So anyway, I mentioned before that we got an email from somebody, Natasha. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. And she says, hey, Justin, I'm really sad to hear this. Why? And so she's responding to an email I wrote back. I wrote to our list telling everyone that we're going to be not doing live shows anymore. And the reason is because it's multi-layered. And one of the things is it's pretty stressful to do a live show and to have everything work correctly and the technology to work correctly and to be able to pull everything off and on time and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times our guests can't connect to us, and it just becomes very stressful. And so we won't be doing any live shows anymore, and most likely we won't even be doing video anymore, although we'll be adding videos to our YouTube channel. But most likely they're going to be just still frames, because for me, it's like I feel more comfortable on just, talking without a camera on me. And most of you guys are probably the same way. You put a camera or microphone in front of someone and they become different people or something. That's weird. But it's easier for me to be more true to who I am if I'm not on camera. And really, the only thing that matters anyway is what the guest is saying and that we get the message out there. And so nothing else is going to change. We're still going to be releasing our shows on Sunday evening. So we'll still be doing a show Friday morning. We're still going to keep the same time. It just won't be on YouTube Live or Facebook Live. And to be honest, I don't even want to give them our content, to be honest with you. Like seeing what they're doing in terms of censorship these days, it makes me not even want to be, giving them our content anyway. But we'll keep doing it for as long as they allow us to have, an account there and they don't, kick us off. But so that show will probably be up on the website midday Fridays. And so that will be available there. And then the new shows will come out on Sunday evenings, always on audio. So nothing really is going to change from your end. And so Natasha says also, do you have your stuff backed up on Library TV or Float.app, Flote? We are on Library, so all of our content is backed up on Library, thank God. Because we already have one strike. And guess what we got the strike for? We got the strike for promoting dangerous and false content regarding MMS in relationship to AUTISM. I don't even want to say the word. So that was what our strike was for. And so if you get 3 strikes on the 3rd strike, they deplatform you. So this is what's going on, and I don't even like supporting these people, to be honest with you. And so one of the things that we're talking about in our live stream on Zoom for our Academy members was extracting yourself from the matrix. So my homework to you is, it's January 29th, 2021 right now, and in the next week. And we're going to talk about this inside the Academy next week. So if you want to join, use the code EHR14 and you can join the private chat that we have Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific. But my homework assignment to you is to find one thing in your life, whether it's the apps that you use, it's the phone plan that you use, it's how you get your content, where you watch your content, it is where you buy your food, what companies you support, all of that. Maybe it's deleting your Amazon account, or maybe it's canceling your Costco membership, or maybe it's instead of watching videos on YouTube, maybe it's going to BitChute and watching videos there. It could be buying a fruit tree. It could be getting some chickens. It could be any one of these things. Find one thing and try to find an alternative to that thing within the next week. And it doesn't matter when you're listening to this, because we have listeners all around the world who listen to these shows at all different times. It doesn't matter when you're listening to this, but if you're listening, pick one thing in your life and start doing this every single week. And that's what we're doing inside the Academy, and we're holding each other accountable. And next week, we're going to be talking about what one thing that we did. And I think this is a great way to not just extract yourself from the matrix, but also to disempower the companies that think they control everything, right? Like big tech or big food, big agriculture. Where we spend our time and where we spend our money dictates much of what we're exposed to on a daily basis, and it dictates a lot of different aspects of our life. So part of getting your power back is choosing to support different companies. So for example, here's a great example. Let's say you're going to buy something on Amazon, right? Go to that company's private website, their own website, and usually there's some kind of discount code, and buy that same item directly from the customer, or I'm sorry, from the product creator. And it might take a little bit longer to get there because they're not, able to utilize the distribution network that Amazon has. But hey, this is a lesson in patience, right? So I think this is, just recently we did this. We signed up for Thrive Market. We had an account years ago, but we just let it die. But we re-signed up at Thrive Market and bought some groceries. And it's interesting because like the shipping is takes so much longer than Amazon, right? But Amazon is not the norm. It's like we've gotten used to buying stuff on Amazon, and we think it's normal for things to get to our location in one day or the next day. Like that's not normal, right? They're the only company that's able to do that. So find a company. If you're going to buy like a shirt, if you're going to buy a bike or something, go directly to their website. And because when you buy on Amazon, I mean, they're getting like 25% of that, right? So, support put that 25% back into the actual person who's creating the product, not giving the platform to that person. And so this is like one example of something that you could do. So if you like this kind of thing, these are the kinds of things that we talk about in the Extreme Health Academy. So anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. So the shows will still be coming out. If you're subscribed on YouTube, you should still be getting our content. The new videos will come out probably, midday on Fridays. So be aware of that. They just won't be live, but the majority of people don't listen or watch live anyway, so it's no big deal. The content's going to be the same. Nothing's going to change on your end. So anyway, I love you guys so much. Thank you again. Let me just check the chat room in case anybody has any questions for me right now before we take off. Okay. Sarah asked me, have you tried the Cellusizer or Jump Sport? I've tried both of those, yeah, and I still love the Bellicon. But those are good ones as well. But I love the Bellicon. I love supporting them. We've had them on our show. The price is comparable, and I like supporting Bellicon just because I use it mostly. Okay, many health food stores carry raw dairy from Pirate Pete. It's good to see you guys, too. Gunner, Pirate Pete, Sarah, Queen Elizabeth. I love that. Truth sets you free, holding on to a parent's trauma. I love that name, Queen Elizabeth. That's cool. Yeah. So guys, maybe as a final sort of thing to think about and closing the show, consider how you're interacting with your family, your brothers, your sisters, your kids, and your parents and grandparents, and learn how to honor them. Boycott Amazon and Walmart. I hear you. So yeah, I love you guys a lot. Daryl, great to see you, my friend. Pirate Pete, great to see you as well. And Mary as well. I really appreciate you guys. And Dr. Ace too, cool. All right, guys, I appreciate you so much. And make sure to pass our show on to your friends because this censorship thing is big time. Like we're getting zero reach on social, and they don't want the truth to get out. And many people that are speaking the truth are having the same issue. So the only way around that is to share. So please share our stuff on Instagram and Facebook and things. Hey, Kate, how's it going? Oh, glad you're here. How cool. All right, Kate, just so you know, you probably put the kids down, but I'm going to be done here in just a minute, so I'll be right over. All right, guys, love you so much. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being a part of our show, and thanks for all that you do. I really appreciate that so much. And I will see you guys next week, and have a great weekend, guys.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any information in this blog or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment/cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be continued as such. Always work with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, prescription drug use, lifestyle, or exercise activities. This information is provided as is, and the reader/viewer assumes all risks from the use, non-use, or misuse